That day has come. Season 4 of Attack on Titan has finally premiered in all of its horrific glory, and we've got one question among many. Who the f*** are these people? Hey guys, it's 2FAST2MOVIE. I'm your host for the day, Abraham Bogali. Joined with me is my co-host, Ben Collins.
Hello.
Ben, we've got a show to talk about today.
I'm not gonna lie. I am the episode was great, but I am mostly confused. Confused.
That is the general consensus that I've seen online. There is a bit of confusion. A lot of new information is hurled our way, and yet even with all of that, pretty strong opening. A lot of good action set piece. I don't know.
I loved it. It's just I have a lot of questions, and I hope that you're going to be able to answer I hope that you're going to be able to answer them for me.
I could do my best. I think I consider myself an expert in the Attack on Titan universe, so I will.
So you read the manga?
Yes, I read the manga.
But
do not worry, folks. There are no manga spoilers here today. There are only show spoilers. So this is your first and only warning. Spoilers ahead for this episode of 2FAST2MOVIE. And with that, we're going to just jump right into the episode. It's titled The Other Side of the Sea. And this plays on the title of the finale of Season 3, The Other Side of the Wall. So instead of picking up where we left off with Eren, Mikasa, Armin, and the rest of the people inside the walls, we instead skip forward 4 years after the events of Season 3. After losing the female and colossal Titan, Marley, the nation that launched the attacks on Paradise Island, put the reclaiming of the founding Titan mission on pause to deal with the other nations of the world taking advantage of Marley's weakened state. And we open at the tail end of the war between Marley and a nation called the Mid-East Allied Forces. And the Marleyan forces are suffering great losses at the hands of a fort named Fort Slava. We are also introduced to the soon-to-be inheritor of the Beast Titan, Colt, and warrior candidates, Gabby, Falco, Udo, Zofia, and these are the candidates to be the inheritor of the Armored Titan. Oh, God, that's a mouthful. Yeah, and it's made worse because this is all in the span of like 5 minutes. And for an anime-only person, I'm so sorry. This is a lot.
I'm not going to lie. I was able to follow a good bit of this information, actually. It's just a couple things when you're unloading this kind of information, it's really important to be super concise and selective about what you choose.
Yeah, they talked about the 9 year. They threw around 2 year time frames, 9 years and 4 years. It's been 9 years since the beginning of Season 1 when Eren's home was destroyed and Eren's mom died, but it's been 4 years since Season 3. So that's a little confusing for one.
Because I was doing the math in my head and I was like, man, Reiner must have been a lot younger than I thought he was. Either that or Daddy aged well.
He's got the facial hair. A lot of people are rocking facial hair this time. We've got both Zeke and Reiner Reiner's got the little mini goatee. Zeke's got a full-on man beard right now.
I mean, Zeke is... He can do whatever he wants. He's fine. He's a hairy man anyway.
We don't stand
Zeke.
Unfortunately.
Reiner, I will always... Even the betrayal hurt, but I will always just have a soft spot for him in my heart. He is such an interesting character.
We will talk more about Reiner's feelings in the episode. There is one line that comes up that really shows that he's still not over it. But before we go into that, I kind of want to give a shout out to MAPPA Studios. Am I saying that right? MAPPA or MAPPA? Regardless, it was an undertaking to take on an animation project this hype or this anticipated, as such as Attack on Titan. And the old art style was so infamous that a lot of people weren't sure if MAPPA Studios would be able to handle it. They did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I'd agree.
They knocked it out of the park. So kudos to all of you animators and all of your hard work. What did you think about the intro? Actually, I
The
also want to ask you about that.
honestly, I'm a little meh,
Hmm.
because with Attack on Titan had one of the greatest openings in its first season that we have ever seen. I still listen to that song sometimes because it's so damn good. And
Yeah.
if you find the extended version, it's just a blast. But it was weird to kind of take that departure from it, and you could still get some of that orchestral and the orchestral vibe with the actual choir mixed in as well.
Hmm.
But the tone was just drastically different. This is so much more ethereal in the music, and the animation ties into that exactly. I don't think we see a single named character except for Aaron's Titan.
Yeah, that's the only named character in the entire intro. I've heard rumors that MAPPA Studios actually changes the intro as episodes progress. And so there were a lot of times where you saw blurred shots of like red and blue and purple smoke. Potentially, those could be revealed more and more as the episodes go on. I'm not sure
The
about that 100%, but
It
that's a
would be
possibility.
kind of cool to see the because there's this one point where we have several silhouettes or statues rather shatter at different points in the opening,
Hmm.
and I remember watching them just like that would have had so much impact if someone's face that I knew was on that. But if they're going to be changing the opening, I wouldn't be surprised if after we see a character death, we just start seeing their face on one of those pre-rendered statues.
Yeah, and the introduction actually plays into a something that we see a lot more in this than we have in previous seasons: war. We haven't seen Titans on a battlefield. We haven't really seen people die to other people. The dynamic has mostly been Titan versus people, and now it's the exact opposite: people versus people. So the fact that in the intro has been playing into that, I think, is appropriate. It's definitely not as hype and as rock hard awesome sauce as the original, but I think it's appropriate for what we have today.
There's I mean it definitely takes on a new vibe, especially after we learn the actual origin of Titans. The whole series took a tonal shift at that point, because at that point we knew that we were facing an enemy that was much bigger than what we thought it was. We always
Right.
thought of it Titans as like an act of nature up until now, and now that we understand that it's actually an act of man. And not only
It can't
that,
go
but
back. Yeah.
there's this very weird and kind of upsetting element to this, which is the fact that it is all the Eldians basically having to fight each other.
Exactly. Let's get right into that. So after all of that happens, that lore dump, we see an armored train roll out from the walls of the fort, carrying anti-Titan artillery. Their weapons strong enough to pierce through the nape of a Titan in a single hit. Gabby, a warrior candidate, comes up with a plan to destroy the armored train by walking up to the front lines unarmed, feigning surrender, and throwing explosives onto the tracks. And amazingly, she succeeds, runs away from the gunfire, and just as she is about to get shot, the brand new Jaw Titan shields her. We then see the Jaw and the Cart Titan from season 3 lay waste to the Mideast Allied forces. There was a bit of confusion on your end and a lot
Oh
of people's
yeah.
end, because we've actually seen the Jaw Titan before. Ymir's Titan was the Jaw Titan in season 2. However, unfortunately, the anime didn't do a great job of explaining it. Ymir died at the end of season 3, really. She left a letter to Historia, and it's shown through a small picture that she is chained up, similar to how Eren was when the king inside the walls tried to feed him to Historia. Not really done amazingly well, but what can you really say about it? It's adaptations. You can't get everything right.
Yeah.
But back to what you were saying earlier, the treatment of Eldians is, to think that the people inside the walls and the people outside the walls fighting for the Marleyan government are of the same race and speak of their people as if they were scum devils. They're feeding into the same propaganda that they're taking in, and it's especially upsetting because these kids are really the same age that Eren, Mikasa, and Armin were at the beginning of the series.
Yeah.
It's quite troubling.
I mean, there's another level of confusion that I think that we should also briefly talk about, because when I was originally watching this, I'm like, this is disgusting. They have to fight against their own people. And I didn't realize that the Mideast Allied forces had nothing to do with the island.
Yeah, the only country that is currently occupying, controlling, and really dehumanizing and committing mass genocide of Eldians is the Marleyan government. Every other nation does not have this it's almost like a civil war between the Marleyans and the Eldians, except the Marleyans are really the ones in control, putting people in concentration camp. The dynamic is, yeah.
It would be remiss, and I think that you would have to be living under a rock in order to not see the very obvious Nazi Germany comparisons between these. Of
course.
It does feel like the way that they're presenting it is that the only good Eldian is one that subverts themselves to the Marleyan government.
Mm-hmm.
And it does everything their way. And we even see this in the beginning with a character stating that I want to show that the only Eldians, that there are still good Eldians out there. And what he really means by that is still Eldians that give their lives up for the cause.
Right.
So we see this moment where we really should point out that when that girl goes out to try and blow up all those trains, she is not doing it altruistically. She is trying to show off and gain her place as the successor to the Armored Titan.
Correct.
But the alternate was that they were going to have all these other Eldians that are currently tied up with bombs to their chest
run out into the front lines and destroy the train. They were willing to sacrifice 800 people just to squeak a victory. There's a reason why we're focusing on the other side of the ocean, and it's because in order for us to understand the enemy, we need to realize that they're not the enemy. The people that Reiner, Annie, Bert, the people that caused Eren, Mikasa, everyone inside the wall so much harm have been almost under similar conditions, potentially worse, because when you really think about it, the psychology of the Marleyan government is this. These people are horrible, yet they are our greatest asset. So it puts them in a strange position where they are simultaneously useful as they drop hundreds of Titans down from the sky, from blimps, and then in the same breath talk down to these children and say, that's what you are. This is who you are.
There is in my opinion, just a very appropriate amount of layers to all of this. And to be fair, this is something that we have seen similar bits and themes in sci-fi before, in fantasy with this kind of commentary. We have, I wouldn't say Full Metal Alchemist per se, although the storytelling is definitely becoming that to rival Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. But we have seen this kind of touch up on race. But really, I think one of the only examples that I can think of in sci-fi is the fifth season novels. There's another set of novels that go over a very similar idea of having monstrous people that live under the thumb of a tyrannical government, and these people are convinced that they're a complete danger to all of society unless they do everything that this government says, to the point where they refer to themselves as slurs. In many instances. Yeah, I will say there was one thing that did give me a little bit of, not confusion, but what does that mean? Falco had an interesting dream in the beginning of this episode.
You are right. Falco had a dream saying that he had swords. He was wielding swords and was flying up to a Titan like, whoosh. That is the exact sentence he says. That is eerily reminiscent of the scouts and their 3D maneuver gear fighting Titans. This isn't the first time that we've seen weird future past memories, or back in season 3 we saw Aaron Kruger, the person who gave Grisha, Aaron's father, the attack Titan power, say, you need to protect Mikasa and Armin, even though Mikasa and Armin hadn't been born yet. So there are a lot of instances in the show where things are said that don't correlate with what the characters know. So hopefully that will be explained as the season goes on. I have confidence that it will, though.
Yeah, I get my hypothesis is that the Eldians are all somehow mentally connected. We've kind of seen this before with how the founding Titan works and how the attack Titan works.
Able to control other people's memories. Yeah, there is precedent for that. Now, speaking previously of people turning into Titans and falling from the sky, we will continue with the action set pieces. So the Cart Titan and the Jaw Titan are now on the field. The train is out of the way, and Marley begins to fight back. Suddenly, restrained Eldians exhibiting strange symptoms, eyes wide open, strained smiles, they begin to parachute down from a blimp as Zeke, the current Beast Titan and half-brother to Eren Yeager, screams, transforming everyone falling down into Titans. And as they rocket to the ground, decimating more forces, both Zeke and Reiner, the armored Titan, jump from the ship and destroy the fort and the naval fleet in a nearby port, claiming victory for Marley and bringing an end to the 4-year-long campaign against the Mideast. I gotta say, watching people freak out over Zeke screaming and turning people into Titans, finally explaining how when they first fought Zeke, the Armor Titan, and Bert and the Cart Titan in season 3, how all of a sudden all those Titans lit up and suddenly appeared. It's because Zeke screamed. And that's just a power that he has, potentially as the Beast Titan, or maybe Zeke is connected somehow because of his royal bloodline.
Yeah. I did have some absolutely crazy thoughts about that. Of course, that was the first thing that my mind shot back to, of this is the explanation for that. But it also begs questions of, can he just do that to Eldians, period? And if so, why didn't he just turn all of his enemies into Titans?
Right. That would have there are probably some conditions that are required to, either you have to meet in order to turn someone into a Titan. Presumably only Eldians can turn into Titans, so you are correct in saying that. But looking at all the people strained up, they looked and acted strange. Instead of seeming scared and shaking like the people in the trenches were when they were faced with oncoming death, these Eldians stone-faced, static expressions, so it seems like they're under the effects of something. Perhaps maybe the Titan juice, or maybe a delayed version of the Titan juice. Maybe it's like I don't know. We'll have to. I mean, I know, but I'm not going to tell you.
Well, please don't. I don't want any spoilers from you, and neither do the people watching this. That would be terrible. But I don't know. I'm fascinated. I want to see more. I'm genuinely just ecstatic to see where this goes, and we really do not know much about Zeke as a character currently. We've seen him in little bits, but he's always been kind of this mysterious figure in past seasons.
Yeah,
we know his history.
He turned on his own father and mother and turned them into the Marleyan government. We don't really know his motives yet. We barely know anything about him other than he wants to save Eren from this world, something that he said to him in season 3.
It's strange because one of the things that I love about the show is a lot of our antagonists, and especially now with the explanation that we give, they are so layered because of the conditions that they grew up in with the Marleyan government. But we just haven't spent enough time with them. And that's really what I'm excited for throughout these next couple episodes, because we're going to be seeing a lot more on the other side of the sea.
Right. Something also to note is that this was not an overwhelming victory for the Marleyan government, for the Marleyan army. If you really pay attention to the set pieces, even though, like, we've seen Titans in their full glory in rinky-dink, inside the walls, no technology really, these people are not doing well in the fight. And Reiner, bruised, bloodied, arms coming off, they only really get to destroy everything because Gabby miraculously destroyed the train. The naval fleet almost killed Zeke.
They almost... I was a little confused at the end, but I guess they didn't kill Reiner?
No, I believe Reiner is just barely alive.
Okay, because we did get... this isn't really a spoiler unless you decide to not watch the next time, in which case...
we will talk about the next time in a minute after the post-credit, along with the ending scene.
We'll talk about that in a bit. Like, I'm just genuine. First of all, the action pieces were amazing. The tension was so much more level. There is that bit where once they get inside the walls, it's, oh shit, there's another train. Oh shit, the entire wall is outfitted with these anti-Titan cannons.
Not only that, but all of the action set pieces in previous seasons have focused on these small characters facing off against the larger threats. So really oftentimes, like, we focus on Eren or Mikasa or other characters as they run across the armor titan or scale and zip line through people. This time we are going wide, seeing these titans as though they were, regular sized characters, just destroying and leveling everything in sight. It's definitely a change of pace, and I appreciate that they're doing this, especially because we aren't focusing on there's no 3D maneuver gear.
It only supports my original claim that Attack on Titan is just a fleshy mech anime.
It is. It's a Gundam anime. It is. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just, instead of robots, it's flesh suits. Let's go.
So let's talk about the last scene of this episode. So the last scene shows Marleyan citizens reading newspapers that tell of the military's victory. And so there's people cheering and celebrating in the crowd. And we focus shortly on a mysterious man in a suit. And he simply buys one of the papers and walks away. Big question right now, who's the man? Ben, what do you think?
I'm hopeful that it's Eren. I think that it would be a really interesting development to see him this deep behind the walls, because if Eren's here, then that means a lot of other people are here.
Even if it isn't Eren, which there are some people online saying it might not be because Eren usually has black hair, but he could have disguised himself. Never know. But regardless of who it is, the fact that they focused on them likely means that it's someone from the island, someone that we already know.
Yeah.
And if one person is here, who else is here? What are they planning? What's going to happen in the upcoming episodes? Are they doing reconnaissance? Who knows?
I feel like in order for them to really be able to fight that kind of fight, because they're so technologically behind everyone, and we just saw that the Mideast Allied forces, despite having the technology to have cannons that could just outright kill a Titan if it happens to be on target, Bear just got decimated. Granted, they did give a really good fight and nearly took down both the Beast and Armored Titan in basically just 2 volleys.
Yeah, and there were only 8 people, I think. Basically, all the soldiers dead. Levi, like the main characters, took down the Beast Titan and the Colossal Titan.
Yeah.
That's it. So, I mean, I will kind of contest that point that they are behind. Think about it like this. They have only been fighting Titans. So who knows what's been happening in the 4 years since? Like, I mean, knowing that there's other things on the other side, is it possible that they are? I mean, are they going to be resigned to the fact like, oh, we can't beat them, we should just hide? I don't see any character in the show doing that. I see them buckling down. They created the Thunder Spears out of a necessity to beat the Armor Titan. Imagine what other technologies they could have come up with in 4 years.
And I also think that there is a solid chance that, because we clearly, from this episode, we get introduced to the idea that the Marleyan government has enemies. Mm-hmm. That people do not like the fact that they use their monopoly on the Titans and the Eldian people as a power structure in order to exert themselves on the rest of the world. Hypothetically, they could go to another country and start building up allies over these 4 years.
Possibly. And especially because if all the Titans are really cleared and they put Paradise on hold, that kind of gives them a little bit more wiggle room to potentially explore outside of their island. So it could be possible that they've been meeting allies too.
Yeah.
So on the next time of Attack on Titan, we actually see that they are now on the train ride back to Marley after fighting in this war. Spoiler alert, Reiner is okay. Likely we're probably going to get some more insight into these characters as they are no longer on the battlefield. They'll have a chance to cool down, unwind, and we'll really get to see these character dynamics play out a little bit more. Ben, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen in the next episode? Anything you're looking forward to, expecting, hoping?
I mean, I love the fact that we're going to be spending more time with these characters. As I previously said, I really want to see more about Zeke specifically. I am super fascinated to see what that looks like. And again, that's just not a character that like we really know a ton about. Seeing Reiner's disposition, especially after his time on Paradise Island, and now because we know that they're planning on giving the Armored Titan to someone else, which inherently means that he's going to have to die. So right. How is he coping with this? What is his general outlook? Because I feel like anyone that's pretty intuitive, this stuff is aware, he was conflicted back on Paradise Island about having to fight these people. He's seen how they live and the fact that everyone in Paradise was just fighting for survival, and he and Berthold and everyone else just rolled up and destroyed everything. He does absolutely have a bit of a guilty conscience about that.
Of course.
And he's a super conflicted character. So I just want to see more of him after these 4 years. There was that really wonderful line that he said as he was parachuting down of, "I'm sick and tired of walls."
Yeah, and it's also he doesn't have Annie anymore, and he doesn't have all of the friends that he had that went on the mission to take down the walls and reclaim the Founding Titan have either been captured or have died. He's the last one left. My
only sad bit is I wanted to see peaks of our named characters. And that yeah. I wanted to see, like, oh, are we meeting Eren next episode? Ooh, is Misaka in it? No.
Yeah, strap in, folks. We're probably going to be here for a hot minute on with these Marleyans. Yeah, that's really episode 1 in a nutshell. A great episode in my opinion. I mean, it's a packed nutshell. As always, guys, this is 2FAST2MOVIE on the Scope channel. Give us a like, comment, and subscribe. Check us out on Spotify at Return of the Movie. You can also find us at youtube.com/Scope Productions. Thank you very much for listening. It's 2FAST2MOVIE.